Here's the build itself, putting the fuselage together, bit of cleanup. Then interior cockpit, standard Mr. Surfacer. If you don't use that, you probably should. Pipettes. I use these all the time. I bought like a huge bag of them. I think it was $30 for 10,000 or something. Spray painting, if you've never seen it. Cockpit goes together nice. Interior green. I don't put a lot of work into these 1/72 cockpits because you can't really see much of it. But there I am, putting a bit of black paint. What's that? Instrument panel. Very standard stuff at this point. This one might interest you if you've never seen it before. On a $20 kit, I'm way too mean to fork out for aftermarket parts. So I make the seat belts just with masking tape. You can go to really cool extremes doing this. As I say, this is a bare bones cheap 1/72 kit. And in fairness, it's gone together quite nice. But you can go to town on the seat belts. In another video, I'll show you even how to make buckles and so on in 1/48, 1/32. You can do some cool stuff. You can see here, it is really minimal cockpit, so I'm not getting too hung up on it. The seat belts, or harnesses, whatever you want to call it, they're really more, I guess, that you can sort of see it from a distance, but you're still going to have to be pretty close, obviously, for 1/72. Bit of fiddling about just getting it in the right position, but that's a really cheap, easy way to do things. Putting the engine together, these are 2800s, pretty much in a bunch of planes for that period. At least I think, someone will correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's it. Again, just a little hack here, some lead wire, and because it's a minimal molding or tooling, I just add that little bit of wire, essentially the ring that goes around the engine. It's the ignition manifold. I doubt anyone's going to see it, but it's one of those quick and easy ones that I kind of know it's there. Just adds a little bit of detail here and there. Again, just gluing the fuselage up. I've learned the hard way. I don't use thin cement here. For this type of work, I use standard cement glue. Thin cement I'll come back and use later because you can have it run. Before you know it, you're touching one side and it's coming out on the other. I use rubber bands in this case just to hold it all in position. Again, it's an easy way to do things. The kit did go together pretty well. I've had a lot worse. I can't say over the years I've had a lot of great times with Academy, but yeah, it's a nice little kit. I think it was roughly $20 Australian, so no complaints. Here I kind of just come along and scrape the seam line and engine cowling. Still a bit of cleanup work to do here, but I haven't included all of that. It'll put you to sleep. Again, I've sort of learned over the years you can mess things up if you get too file happy and get in with sandpaper and so on. You can see I've already done some of the interior green there on the wheel wells. It's starting to look like a plane now, getting some wings on. There was a slight issue on the fit with the wings, but again, I've come across a lot worse and no major dramas. Don't forget, like and subscribe, all that stuff. Really helps me out, especially I'm struggling if there's only 3 people watching this. But I'm kind of having fun. And either way, it gives me a bit of a record. Yeah, you can see it's fairly basic tooling, moulding there. But in the end, it all comes together nicely. I come back later, actually, and finish off some of the wheel well. Just hand brush it. I think there's always that cost benefit on some of these. Again, just adding some glue, get it all together, get those wings set up. I think I even nicked out a bit on one of those sockets just to get it to fit a little bit tighter. Let me know if you can spot what the error is, and it's one of the dumbest things I've done in a long time. Engine, everything's all in place. Like I say, we're starting to look like a plane. Scraping the leading edge on the wings. I also come back with, I think it's some 2000 grit, just to really finish them off, take off the edges. That also, if you do get some fine cracks or joins, tends to flatten it out, fill it in a bit better. So you can see those seat belts there. As I say, it's starting to look like a real Razorback now. Before I start painting, this is my own little trick. I use bits of that paper toweling, and to be honest, sometimes it's just scrap I've got on the bench, but I dampen it first, and then it'll go in there snugly. Again, a little bit of extra detail. I'm not drilling these deeply, maybe about 2 mil. What's that? 1/8 of an inch at the, no, it wouldn't even be that, 1/16 of an inch. Really, I'm just cupping out the gun ports rather than that blank look. You'll see it tends to give just a little bit of depth. Although I am wary because it would be easy to split them. So there, you can see the effect there. Now the real painting on the bodywork starts. This is just drab olive. Again, standard USAAF colour, green. Olive green, drab olive, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, like I say, it's starting to look like a real Razorback. At this point, I've masked the canopy. I haven't included all of that. Can be a bit over the top. I probably will in other videos, only because I think it's interesting to see different ways people do it. This is Mr. Colour Paint, and I think it gives a pretty cool finish, actually. Definitely is a really nice drab, well, olive drab. And again, standard stuff, just slow, lots of coats. I think the temptation, especially if you're starting out, is just to slam that paint on, but you'll get much, much nicer finishes, slow and steady, as they say. Masking, in this case, I'm just using plain, I think this is to me a tape. I use a mix of whatever tape I've got around, and that's just a neutral grey underneath. You get that nice finish. Probably one trick I might go into, it's a bit rough on my video work there, but bear with me. Great. I did also do some light prep work just to give a bit of variety on that olive. So you can see that there. The wheels, silver on the inside, and then I come back here, fine detail brush. This is MIG, rubber tyres, just a preference. I like it. I flattened some of the wheel on one side. Got them mounted on a toothpick. If you're careful, you can just roll it round and do it the way I'm doing it there. Flat back black on the propeller. I'd already done the tips in yellow. You can do it however you like, of course, but that seems to work for me. If you try and come back with the yellow and the black, it gets much more difficult. And you probably should use pink under coat there. A bit extra detail on the wheel struts, more lead wire. You can see that panel effect there that I've got in. Probably show that in another video. But at this point, I'm actually quite happy with how it's all starting to come together. Again, some bad camera work, but you get the idea. As I pull off the masking and we get to that point in the build, I've actually just come back with some soapy water, minimal soap, but by this point, there's bits of tape and all sorts before I get into the decal side of it. The decals I did have some trouble with. I wouldn't sort of rate Academy details that good, but it just becomes a question of perseverance, messing around. And it's a nice looking plane, so there's no issues there. The artwork, classic type, World War II, the black and yellow checkers. I didn't have the most fun getting these decals on. I did come in with my fingers, and I'm also learning to do this with a camera sitting in front of me. I think it's sometimes, especially on these big ones, it's basically making sure they line up properly and they're straight, because otherwise it doesn't look so good. And there we are. Now the interesting bit, leave a comment if you do spot the error coming up. Like I say, quite happy with the build. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed that. Looking forward to any comments, good and bad. Always welcome the feedback. Definitely, if you figured out where the error is, let me know. I'm curious to see if anyone else can pick it up. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one.